Birkholz with Arvig Communication Systems, or ACS. We have 37 exchanges and 7 different operating companies. We provide phone, high-speed internet, and video products too, along with long distance. I won't re-comment a lot of the things that Daryl from Park Region discussed. You know, we do have a different service area. In fact, we have LEC companies, and again, in those LEC companies, and it ranges from Osakis, Minnesota, where we've put a fiber to the home infrastructure in, but again, in the town, in the dense areas and along the eastern side of Lake Osakis, we have Big Fork and Marcel areas in the northern part of Minnesota, where we run 2 to 3 meg to over 95% of our customers. We also have areas, some of the CLECs in the Whittina Staples areas, where in the towns we can get up to a 5 meg service, but the moment you're a couple miles out of town, that drops off the table, and you end up with not a lot of speed in those areas. We're working too, as we go through on the capital outlays. We spend about 25% of our gross revenues every year plowing that infrastructure back on the ground, realizing that is where our future's at as a service company. We did put in for a broadband application. I worked with Dean Johnson and White Earth in the Nadawash area, which is one of our CLEC areas. The incumbent was there. We come in. Again, it's one of those areas where we can provide the towns, the dense areas, but when we get to the sparse areas, we don't have that coverage. And just to give you an idea of the cost of that project there, that I did hit submit on Tuesday at 1 o'clock to the broadband stimulus, it was $4,300 for the customers out there. And it would be a wonderful boon for that area. I guess the one thing that I want to leave you with as I go through this is, if we can get to the point where we're not being the 4th and 5th service provider or rebuilding a dense area that's got good coverage, we need to get other areas up to speed so we can get out and reach those. To mandate just at speed will be difficult and hard to reach. Any questions?
Could you mentioned a proposal in the Navajo area, and I was confused as the number. Did you say $4,800 per home passed?
$4,300. $4,300
per home passed.
Yeah. $4,370.
How big is the application? How many homes or how much area?
We ended up with 315 households that we would pass, and one of the questions, we normally end up with about 49% penetration given time. That's my business plan was based on in 5 years, we would end up with a 49% penetration, some sort of high-speed service in that area. But yeah, it was just shy of $1.4 million that we put in on that.
I appreciate hearing. I did not know how Marcel and Big Fork got such good service, and so I'm glad to hear that it's Arvig. For those of you who have not been in those areas, they're about 60 miles north of Grand Rapids, between Grand Rapids and International Falls, and there's some good businesses particularly in Big Fork, and they have been blessed. They have a 3 meg broadband service, and FedEx only comes twice a week. So it's a success story. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is Arvig also a CLEC?
Arvig is also a CLEC, yeah. We've got 9 different communities.
You said something, this is a kind of a bone of contention with me. You talked about overbuilding.
Right.
And that's kind of what the CLEC does in some cases, is overbuild or take away from the incumbent company. And I don't know if you're an incumbent and have CLECs coming over you. I've worked for a company that's what's happened. And there again, which was brought up before, is in the more urban areas of your coverage, if you have somebody overbuilding you, that takes away revenue, and that's why we can't get out, the incumbents can't get out to those rural areas, which you just said how much that costs.
Right.
And that's what I see as also another part of the problem here is you know, people made decisions in the past that allow this to happen, and now we're supposed to say, well, let's get out there. But when everybody concentrates in one area and you have 4 or 5 companies vying for that customer base that can provide the money to go out to those rural areas, we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot, I figure.
Yeah, there's definitely truth to what you're saying, and you get the second competitor in many times is, you know, that's the good thing, but when you get to 4 and 5, and I've got friends in the industry, and one of my friends is actually in another company, and one of the areas that we serve, they decided to be the 5th provider into that town, and I just said, where's the magic, and you know, tell me, I must be missing something. And that, you know, that is what we do. What we're finding personally in our own business plans now is we need to spend the money in our ILECs, in our areas where we're the incumbent. And so the CLECs are starting to get to that where they don't, we're not gonna branch out of the community, not gonna branch out of the dense area. It'll be a number of years. We undertook a project, just to give you an idea, in Twin Valley, Ulen, White Earth area. There's 7 exchanges there, and it represents about 18% of our company. It will take us about 2 to 2.5 years to build a fiber to the home network there, and our intention is to go everywhere there. But you can kind of add the timeline in your head as to how long it will take us to reach out to all areas.
So I'm massively confused this morning because on the one hand, we don't like the government in our businesses. And on the other hand, we don't like competition beyond some magic minimum. It seems to me that you get either one or the other. You either get lots of competition or you get the government in your business. Clarify that for me. Not necessarily, I'm picking on people on the task force because we drink beer together on frequent occasions, and so we'll be able to beat each other back and forth rather than pick on you. But what's up with that? I mean, it seems to me that you get one or the other. You either get competition, it's all good, the American way, blah, 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 or you get a little regulation. Which do you want?
Regulated monopolies seemed to work in this country for years till we went away from it.
Okay, well, I'm for that. Everybody else for that?
No.
I didn't think so. I think we need to find, and you know, now to stop throwing bombs, because I'm not really trying to do that. But I do think we need to get a little bit more nuanced in how we draw that line. And I think that it's difficult to just say, these things are good and these things are not. I think we have to find, and I know where you're headed, and so let's work on that. You know, it seems to me that we have the opportunity as a group to figure out a better way. And there's some blend in there that nobody's got a good model for yet. Because I'm not, you know, I'm not really in favor of a regulated monopoly either. So, anyway.
Yeah. You mentioned a big program you're working on in Twin Valley. I take it you're the ILEC there, so this is a rebuild.
Correct, yeah.
Can you give us some idea of the cost per household passed for the fiber to the home in that area?
In that area, it's just over 3,000. I mean, to give a person an idea, just a generalized number, many times, you know, and I've actually been through a few sales of telephone companies. I worked for one that was purchased. And many times the price of it, you know, they call it by access line, by customer, was about $300 to $3,300 is what they went for. That, the entire company, all the services that you sold that customer. Now you're looking at putting an infrastructure to, you know, provide, you know, fiber to the home where you can reach some 100 meg speeds, give them that kind of broadband, you know, that bandwidth. And it's the price of the entire company. You're basically starting over. But that's the way, you know, that's the way it works. And we're finding on our copper mediums, we can hit about 14 meg under perfect scenarios.